with the me bounce thing, y'all ate that up. Because rebounds, me bounce, creep bounce, key bounce, T bounce, T bounce, anything that comes off that board, it's mine.
So, you know what happens when you spend more time trashing your roster in public than actually playing basketball? Eventually, the organization looks around and decides maybe you're not as essential as you think you are. Angel Reese just got hit with that exact wake-up call when the Chicago Sky front office made their choice crystal clear. And trust me, it wasn't the choice she expected.
Plans on remaining with the Chicago Sky after Rocky in the 2025. You may be like, Rocky, question mark? Yeah, you don't remember? She threw all of her teammates under the bus and then ran the bus over them. In that interview that came out, I think it was the Chicago Sun-Times. And her teammates, nah.
The team just dropped a bomb by selecting Camila Cardoso as their Player of the Year. This wasn't just an award announcement. It was the front office sending a message that couldn't be misunderstood. For someone who's been acting like the franchise revolves around her personal brand, this had to sting. The decision shows exactly how the organization really feels about who matters most to their future. Reese thought she had leverage and untouchable status, but reality just came knocking with a very different story. That carefully constructed image of being irreplaceable just crashed into the cold, hard truth of professional sports.
Not want to come back, or maybe she's decided I want to come back, but do the Chicago Sky actually?
What do you think? Should Chicago be exploring trade options for Angel Reese? Given everything that's gone down, drop your thoughts in the comments. Because this situation is getting messier by the day, things are looking pretty grim in the Windy City right now. And surprisingly, we're not talking about another on-court meltdown or a referee argument. The Chicago Sky stopped tiptoeing around the elephant in the room and made a clear statement about who they truly consider their most important player. They went ahead and gave Camila Cardoso the Player of the Year honor. Take a moment to process that. While Reese was busy with promotional appearances and brand building, management focused on actual contributions to winning basketball. Cardoso appeared in 40 games, collected 15 Player of the Game awards, earned 6 Player of the Week honors, and secured 2 Player of the Month distinctions. She delivered consistently without turning team issues into public spectacles or treating media sessions like personal therapy appointments.
You see this right here. Camila Cardoso was named the Magellan Player of the Year, Chicago Sky. So she was named the Player of the Year right here for the Chicago Sky, right? 15 times Chicago Sky Player of the Game. All right, 6 times Chicago Sky Player of the Week, 2-time Chicago Sky Player of the Month. I love this particular statistic. 40 games played. Woo! A lot can be taken from the 40 games played statistic, right? Because let's be honest, here's Angel.
Only 30 games of participation from Reese. The timing of making this public was absolutely brutal. This announcement landed right after Angel Reese went on what can only be described as a media tour with the Chicago Tribune, where she essentially evaluated her teammates like she was the GM. She flat out told journalists that bringing in quality talent wasn't optional if they wanted to keep her around. Picture being one of those teammates you've dedicated years to developing your game at the professional level, and suddenly a player who still struggles with basic offensive consistency is broadcasting to the entire sports world that you're not cutting it and the whole roster needs replacing.
It's very possible the Chicago Sky front office was questioning the injury themselves. Would they admit that? Of course, never. Well, Rhodes, are you saying that Angel wasn't hurt? No. I'm just saying maybe they gave it the fuzzy eyeball just a little bit. In light of the fact that the team was bad, second year in a row, precedent from the rookie year, and unrivaled of just stopping, not playing anymore.
Then she doubled down all over again. There was zero subtlety involved. She made it completely clear she wasn't satisfied with what happened this season and essentially appointed herself as an unofficial personnel director, suggesting she'd be instrumental in recruiting elite players to Chicago. The confidence required to make those statements publicly is remarkable in its own way. Wanting your team to improve is perfectly reasonable. Publicly declaring your teammates are the reason for failure, while you're personally responsible for more turnovers than almost anyone in the league, is something entirely different. Reese didn't just criticize things in private team meetings. She went directly to reporters and told them her current teammates were the problem, effectively broadcasting to everyone in that locker room that she viewed them as insufficient for her goals.
She did quit on them. She did refuse to go in games. Hey, I'm just saying. She just kind of played them when she said, oh, I guess I got to go back because I'm under contract. Like, she don't want to be there.
And let's talk about the disrespect aimed at experienced players. It was particularly shocking. Courtney Vandersloot has built a legacy in this league. 2 championship rings, 5 all-star selections, and a deep understanding of what championship basketball requires. Reese had the audacity to suggest the team couldn't count on Courtney due to age-related concerns and availability questions. Vandersloot actually had to respond publicly, reminding everyone that age wasn't limiting her game and that she was returning in even better condition. When veteran players are forced to defend themselves in the press because of your comments, you haven't just damaged team chemistry, you've completely demolished it. The front office had already made significant moves specifically to support Reese's development. They acquired Ariel Atkins through trade precisely to provide the veteran leadership and stability Reese claimed she needed. They sacrificed future draft capital and restructured the roster with her growth as a primary consideration, and there she was publicly stating their efforts fell short of expectations. The organization committed resources to her stated needs, and she responded by telling everyone it wasn't nearly enough. Vandersloot's reaction demonstrated the gap between genuine leadership qualities and entitled demands for better circumstances. She stood up for herself and the work ethic of the entire roster without ever directly calling out Reese by name. Other veteran players observed this whole mess unfolding and began seriously questioning whether Reese actually grasped the difference between leading a team and just wanting better statistics. How many professional players heard what Angel Reese said about Courtney Vandersloot and her teammates and thought, that sounds like someone I'd love to play alongside? Most athletes probably weren't rushing to join a team where the star player has no problem publicly throwing everyone under the bus, with only 3 games remaining in the season. Reese basically announced to every player in the league that her teammates weren't capable of helping her achieve success. That message got through loud and clear. It created a situation where players had to wonder if their supposed franchise cornerstone actually wanted to compete with them or just wanted them replaced entirely. The kind of unity that championship organizations require became completely impossible to establish. Then there's the mysterious absence situation. While the Sky were desperately fighting to stay in playoff contention, Reese turned into a complete ghost. Her injury status became more classified than government secrets. First, it was reported as a back issue. Then, she was listed as day-to-day for weeks without any concrete medical information or timeline. Coaches couldn't develop consistent rotation plans. Teammates had no idea who would be available from game to game. The entire situation generated chaos that affected every practice session and game preparation meeting. The back injury explanation started crumbling when people noticed what Reese was actually doing during these absences. She flew to Indiana to promote her Reebok sneaker line instead of supporting her team from the bench during games. She made comments about taking over a rival's territory while her actual teammates were getting demolished back in Chicago. She actively promoted her shoe launch on social media like it was the most significant event happening, completely ignoring the fact her team was spiraling downward. Fans started calling her the Vanishing Act because she seemed to disappear whenever accountability was required. The complete lack of clear communication made everything exponentially worse. Other organizations provided specific injury updates and realistic recovery projections. Chicago just kept repeating day-to-day, like they were protecting classified information. Her technical foul accumulation revealed an even more concerning story about her composure under pressure. Reese collected 8 technical fouls throughout the season, which triggered an automatic suspension. The final technical happened when she made contact with Aaliyah Edwards' head while fighting for a rebound. The league didn't hesitate to enforce the mandatory penalty. The suspension landed right before a critical matchup against the Indiana Fever, the exact game everyone wanted to see. Reese's inability to control her emotions cost her team at the worst possible moment. The Sky organization had to implement even harsher discipline. They suspended Reese for conduct detrimental to the team, based on statements she made during required league media availability. The team kept the details internal, but that label alone communicated volumes. Reese had violated professional boundaries that organizations simply cannot overlook. The half-game suspension seemed like an inadequate response, revealing that the Sky were trapped between disciplining their problematic player and needing her presence for ticket revenue. Here's the part that truly exposed Reese's contribution, or lack thereof, to winning basketball. The Sky legitimately performed better with her off the court. The offensive flow improved noticeably. Possessions looked more organized and purposeful. The team wasn't burdened by a player who monopolized touches and then gave the ball away. Reese led the entire league in turnovers despite missing substantial portions of the season, 10-1 turnovers across just 26 games played. That's definitely a record for the history books, just not the kind anyone wants attached to their name. 1 out of every 5 times Angel Reese attempts a shot within 9 feet of the basket, it gets blocked, and analysts agree her efficiency numbers are terrible. Teammates began seriously questioning Reese's priorities. She demanded roster upgrades while being mysteriously unavailable herself. Veterans who had dedicated everything to establishing winning cultures watched Reese prioritize commercial activities over team success. The difference was impossible to ignore. She wanted superior players but wouldn't consistently compete alongside the roster they currently had. The players' only meeting organized to directly address Reese's public comments should never have been necessary in the first place. Professional athletes shouldn't need to confront their supposed leader about fundamental concepts of team loyalty. Rachel Bannum summarized the collective exhaustion when she said she just didn't care anymore and was completely over all the drama. That's a veteran player openly admitting she was drained by constant dysfunction. Ariel Atkins, the player they literally acquired through trade specifically to help Reese, had to acknowledge the situation publicly, confirming awareness and addressing it. Even head coach Tyler Marsh described handling Reese's comments as a top-down organizational decision, requiring front office involvement. The locker room fractured immediately into competing factions. Chicago's team chemistry evaporated because reliability forms the foundation of team sports at every level. Players need confidence in who will be available. Coaches need certainty about who is included in game plans. Fans need assurance their star player genuinely cares about winning. Reese's disappearing act demolished all of that trust. She generated a toxic atmosphere where nobody could depend on their supposed centerpiece being present. The Sky discovered that having a player who demands excellence from everyone else while failing to meet basic professional expectations creates organizational dysfunction at every level. Meanwhile, Indiana demonstrated what genuine transformation actually looks like. Their star player handled personal setbacks with complete transparency and honesty. When she dealt with an ear injury that impacted her hearing during games, she explained the medical situation openly and clearly. She never manufactured excuses or created confusion around her availability. The Fever always knew exactly where she stood, both physically and mentally. She traveled with the team even when medically unable to play, remaining on the bench throughout games, actively cheering for teammates and staying mentally engaged with every possession. That type of leadership establishes a culture that promotional deals simply cannot buy. She consistently highlighted her teammates' defensive development and rebounding improvements. She praised their shooting and called them the most dependable players on the roster, elevating them in media sessions instead of criticizing their contributions. She discussed how tough and connected they were as a group, emphasizing how they supported each other through adversity. That selfless approach created scoring opportunities that benefited the entire roster. The chemistry Indiana developed became legendary throughout the league. They invested extra time after official practice, working on timing and understanding court spacing. Mutual respect flowed in both directions, building trust that directly translated to victories. Their collective growth proved the incredible impact positive leadership can have on a team. Players evolved from battling confidence issues to becoming the league's most dependable contributors. They created easy scoring opportunities for each other and celebrated defensive stops with the intensity of game-winning plays. Indiana's attendance figures skyrocketed because fans could witness authentic chemistry being built in real time. Games transformed into must-see entertainment, not just for individual talent, but for how the entire team operated together. The Fever sold out arenas nationwide because people wanted to watch a squad that genuinely enjoyed competing as a unit. The positive atmosphere became infectious and translated directly into financial success. The unexpected playoff contention happened because winning habits were established from day one. Excellence was demanded from oneself before expecting anything from teammates. Arriving early, staying late, and elevating everyone around you through relentless work ethic. That's the actual formula. The Fever transformed from a lottery-bound team into a playoff competitor because their star player understood that individual achievements mean absolutely nothing without team success. Compare that reality to Chicago, where the star refuses to enter games during crucial moments because she's actively trying to force her way out of the organization. Reese has been attempting to exit the Sky for months, and her behavior has clearly broadcast she wants nothing to do with the franchise anymore. But here's the problem nobody is talking about. Which team is going to want to acquire that situation? What organization wants a player who publicly insults her roster, skips games for promotional commitments, leads the league in turnovers, and demands free agents take a leap of faith just to play in her city? Reese's public comments didn't just criticize the current roster. They contaminated the well for the franchise's entire future. How do you trust a teammate who publicly announces you're inadequate? How do you compete for someone who's already broadcast to the world that you're part of the problem instead of the solution? Chicago learned through painful experience that talent without reliability and leadership equals complete organizational dysfunction. The Sky's choice to name Camila Cardoso Player of the Year represents the ultimate organizational rejection of Reese. It's the franchise openly acknowledging their supposed star isn't actually their best player, or even their most valued asset. They selected the player who showed up consistently and supported teammates over the one who manufactured constant drama and vanished when games mattered most. Cardoso earned organizational respect through consistency and professionalism, while Reese forfeited hers through entitlement and ego. The Chicago Sky have obviously seen enough dysfunction and are shifting toward a different direction by prioritizing players who actually fulfill their professional obligations. It turns out that brand building isn't sufficient to carry a franchise when your efficiency ranks at the bottom of the league and your leadership is completely absent. If you found this breakdown of the Chicago situation and Cardoso's emergence valuable, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future updates on league drama and breaking news. Let us know in the comments whether you think Reese will still be wearing a Sky uniform next season. Catch you in the next video.